How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Fraud on the Telly. In today's video, we're going over all of the crazy critical role theories from the community after the huge reveal that there is a city inside the moon of Ruidus. We did this video before, so make sure you go check out our last community theories reviewed video. As always, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let's just get right into it, shall we? So on last week's episode of Critical Role, we got a huge reveal about Ruidus and some of its secrets, specifically that there is some sort of city inside of the moon of Ruidus. As well, there is some kind of lattice-esque weave that surrounds the moon, where there's a lot of theories of, namely, that this is some kind of precursor to the Divine Gate that keeps the gods of Exandria in their realms and not in the prime-material plane. To recap, the prevailing theory for Ruidus is this. Ruidus is a prison for possibly one or two unknown deities. There exists information that there were two deities that have gone missing since the time of the founding. As well, we learned that Ruidus was not made until after the founding, leading many of the community to believe that it was one, if not both, of these two gods that were transformed or banished or kept inside the moon of Ruidus somewhere in the founding as a prison. With the reveal of this city, many feel that this possibly might not be the case anymore, but I still think that this theory is very valid, and if not more valid. One of the most interesting and compelling theories that I've seen for the identity of this god came from several Redditors. They theorize that the Red Moon of Ruidus is actually the home and prison of Sardior. I hope I'm not pronouncing that right. Nope. The Prismatic Dragon, a dragon god in the world of Forgotten Realms that is the god of psychics, secrets, and the night. These three things being very interesting and almost kind of linked with Ruidus as the theory goes. But just wait, it gets even more convincing. You see, Sardior has a realm called the Ruby Palace, starting to see any similarities now. It's said that his dimension was a giant floating castle called the Ruby Palace, and that many in the prime material plane often mistook this palace for a small red moon. Now, it very much seems like if this is not the answer to the question of what is inside this moon, it very much gave inspiration for possibly Ruidus and everything that's going on here. It just seems way too connected for it to not very least be the inspiration for Ruidus, for the Red Moon, and for this idea of the moon as a prison. It's more compelling when you learn that the Prismatic Dragon is the god of secrets. Now, the current god of secrets in Exandria in the Critical Role universe is none other than Vecna, the Whispered One, who ascended to godhood. And this is very interesting because if this is the case, if Sardior is this one of these gods that's trapped in the moon and they are the god of secrets, it would be very interesting if they were removed from, the prime material plane, their worship was removed, and thus another god came in to take their place, aka Vecna and the god of secrets. As well, with the fact that they're the god of psychic powers, psychics is also extremely interesting, as we know that Ruidus has the ability to grant psychic-like abilities to Ruidus-born people. There very much seems like a lot of interconnection here, even if it's not the answer, as from my understanding, the Prismatic Dragon does not seem like a malevolent or evil deity, and it very much seems like that whatever is in the moon, or whatever people's plans are for whatever in the moon, seems to be not very good. But at the very least, there seems to be some kind of inspiration that was taken from this god, from this dragon, and I'm very curious to see what happens. A bunch of other theories have arisen from this information that we learned between Morrigan Mori, the hag that was Fearne's grandmother, and Ira, the Nightmare King. We learned in last episode, episode 30, that apparently there was some kind of bargain most likely made between Morrigan, this greater hag, a very, very powerful hag, and Ira, or possibly Fearne's parents. The theory then is this, is that Ira tricked the Callaways, Fearne's parents, into trading Fearne, or possibly Fearne's childhood, or a certain amount of her lifetime, for this little lens that Ira needs to complete their machine. Very much doesn't seem like Fearne's parents are malevolent. It seems like they are very, like Fearne, impulsive fae creatures that act on instincts. We also know that dealings with hags can be very tricky, like dealings with devils. Oftentimes they make monkey paw-like deals, and the wording and the manipulation is very, very important for when you deal with any fae creature. It's possible that Ollie and Birdie thought that they were simply leaving their child in the safe hands of Morrigan, when in fact, by agreeing to that, they were agreeing to the terms between Ira the Nightmare King and Morrigan, as we know that Mori made this very, very special little disc needed for the machine to Ira. Now the question arises, what the fuck is going on with the Nightmare King? As we talked about in our episode breakdown video, the Nightmare King's motives are extremely integral to the story that is happening right now, because we just don't know what the heck is going on with this character. For some reason, they have the knowledge and the ability to build this telescope-esque machine that very much seems like it's a more than just a viewing object. I venture to believe that this machine possibly has the ability to destroy the moon, if not achieve some kind of sinister goal. Chetney and Travis make the speculation that this machine that Ira is building is the same machine that was being worked on in the Unseelie, leading many of the community to believe that Ira was in fact working with the Unseelie, and then for whatever reason, quit, branched off, and decided to do things themselves. Again, what does Ira want? What does the Feywild want? The Unseelie? What does the Cerberus Assembly and possibly Ludinus Delath want with everything that's going on with Ruidus and the Feywild? At the moment, we just don't know. It's pure speculation. Many theories believe that there is some kind of civil war possibly brewing in the Feywild, or some kind of war potentially on the way between the Feywild and these soldiers of Ruidus and the rest of the prime material plane. A theory that I had came up with a couple weeks ago, and a theory that I've also seen speculated around on Twitter, is that that's exactly what they're planning. What they're trying to use Ruidus for is to rip a hole, basically a planar rift in the Feywild, making it easier for possibly soldiers to move from the Feywild to the prime material plane, or even possibly joining the planes together. We know that the apogee solstice is on the way, and in the apogee solstice, the ley lines of Exandria can be rewritten and can be moved around. Also, we know that the lines between the planes become extremely blurred, making interplanar travel much easier. Now, all of these things together suggest to me that there's some kind of planar thing that's going on. We also know that Ruidus has some kind of weird planar magic with what happened to Alyxian in the Netherdeep. The Netherdeep was created via Alyxian's strange Ruidus powers. We don't know more than that. That's literally all the description that we get. But we know that the planes and Ruidus planar magic are connected in some way. This theory of a war, or a civil war, or some kind of war for domination also kind of aligns with one, Imogen's dream, as Imogen sees her home in the world burning, and two, Ollie's dream, as Ollie sees the Feywild burning with Fearne's silhouette in the middle. Now, this brings us on to Fearne and Morrigan. Morrigan the Hag has the title of the Fate Stitcher, which brings very, very ominous tidings for our friend Fearne. What does Morrigan want with Fearne? Now, we know that Fearne is Ruidus born, making Fearne very special, or potentially very special. We know that Fearne appeared in the center of Ollie's dream. Morrigan, we know, is the Fate Stitcher. So something's going on here. Possibly Morrigan knows of Fearne's importance. We also know that Fearne has become much taller than both of her parents. Now, this, I don't think, is any coincidence. We know that hags can be anywhere from like 13 to 15 feet tall. They have really long, big, kind of creepy bodies, Slenderman-esque. Why would Fearne be so tall if not for her being trained or possibly inducted into the coven by Morrigan? Fearne is essentially part hag, or on her way to becoming a hag and gaining hag-like abilities. Now, why would Morrigan take such vested interest in Fearne when Fearne was just a child, if not for the fact that she knew that Fearne would be important. Keep your eye on this in the theories here, as I believe that Morrigan has a very, very integral part to play for the upcoming events in Campaign 3. As well, there's a lot of speculation that possibly the Moontide crown, the item that was taken from the Unseelie, is a vestige of the Divergence. Now, we don't know this for sure. It very much seems like this could be easily a possibility. All we know right now is that the item is listed as a wondrous item, not a vestige, but this very much could change if it is not common knowledge that this item is a vestige. As well, we know that the item is called the Moontide crown, leading me to believe that it might be interlinked with the goddess, the Moonweaver. We know that the Moonweaver is also linked with the Feywild, as it is by the light, as is by the blessing of the Moonweaver that the light of Catha, the normal moon in Exandria, can enter into the Feywild. This god is very, very linked with the Fey and the Feywild, so I expect to see Moonweaver stuff coming in the future. It's possible that the Moonweaver is interlinked with whatever god or multiple gods that are trapped within Ruidus. A theory that I put forward in my episode breakdown video, make sure you guys go check that out, that seems to be reverberated by some of the community, is that possibly this city contains worshippers of these banished gods, as well as the banished gods themselves, as gods would need worshippers, or in fact, possibly this city is the home of Ruidus-born people, and Ruidus-born people are born in Ruidus and then bamfed or sent somehow to the prime material. I saw several theories believing that possibly Imogen was Dorothy-styled tornadoed out of Ruidus into the prime material. It's possible that whenever a child is born under the light of Ruidus, it's some kind of Luxem-esque beacon thing where it's like a soul of a person in Ruidus that is being reborn into the child in the prime material plane. I very much think that possibly some Luxem stuff could be interlinked with Ruidus and things like that, as we know that the Luxem is the oldest of beings and powerfulest of beings, if that's even a word, in Exandria. So I really like this theory. We don't have a lot to prove this, but it's super out there, and we already have this kind of idea with the Luxem of rebirth, of spiritual souls passing on to new bodies. So I find this one very interesting. Let me know your thoughts of the validity of it, or how likely it is in the comments below. It's possibly not super likely, but I like the idea that Ruidus-born people are just souls of possibly people on Ruidus in this city that are being reborn in the prime material. Maybe not, though. Hard to know. A lot of the other community members are also very convinced that this is a tie-in to Spelljammer, the D&D setting. Spelljammer is a very kind of like spacey, techie, space travel, Astral Sea-esque travel, Githyanki, Mind Flayer-esque type thing, D&D setting. We know that Wizards likes to push their content with Critical Role, as why can you blame them? Critical Role has a massive audience, and they have a very good partnership that seems to work back and forth. So this is a little more of kind of the negative theory, I guess, but people are thinking that possibly that's all that this is. It's going to be an intricate plot setup to just set up Spelljammer in the Critical Role universe, and then coincide that with the release of Spelljammer material from Wizards, whether that be books or side modules or things like that. I don't rule this out. If anything, we talked about this in our breakdown video. This is very, very possible. We've seen them do this with other stuff. This is why I'm of the belief that the Call of the Netherdeep stuff is going to be somehow linked within Campaign 3. We already got our first mention of Alyxian in the last episode. And why wouldn't Matt want to promote his own book material in their freaking show? It only makes sense. So yeah, keep your eye on this as well. I don't think it's going to be as simple as that, but I also wouldn't be surprised if in the long run, this set up some kind of Spelljammer-esque lore within Critical Role, within Exandria. And that's it for a lot of the theories that I found interesting and wanted to cover from the community in today's video. Let me know your guys' theories on Morrigan, on Ruidus, on Ira, on everything in the comments down below. There's still so much information that we don't know. A lot of this is just blind speculation, but one of us is bound to be right. There's someone out there who's posted a theory that's bound to be right, and we're gonna try to find them and work it all out. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Go check out some of our other Critical Role content, like our episode breakdowns, our other theory videos, as well as our big Critical Role series, like the Calamity Explained. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching my video. As always, I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Peace, love, adieu.